It's the end of the summer as we know it. Sure, there are some white ball games. Sure, there's a Champions Trophy. Sure, cricket goes on forever. And there is no actual off-season as the seasons change like we're binge-watching the Netflix summer of our lives. But the tests are done. The goalposts go up and we stand on platform of 9 3/4 and wave our Australian heroes off into the abyss, waiting for them to appear again at Lords for the World Test Championship final against South Africa in June. It's been a summer of records, of new toys, of old toys finding new things, old toys finding old things, and the nation finding meaning in itself and those toys. We sit in offices and lounges and bus stops and need the names that appear in the scorecards we look at to make us feel good about ourselves, where we're from, and our sense of belonging, lest another nation get bragging rights about us and who we are as people and the families that we represent. This summer has brought us safety. It's brought us box office entertainment. It's given us names on honours boards. It gave us the feeling that everything's going to be all right and that our dads do love us. Today, you will listen to this broadcast, Australia, and you will know that you are the best. You are from the best place, a land girt by sea and harbours that glisten like the captain's eyes. We pass the baton to our wintering brothers and sisters. The football season will commence in earnest. Wake me up when September ends so that we can commence being the greatest and most arrogant coats about it online against the greatest of great enemies that we actually like for the Ashes next summer so that we can parade the World Test Championship lollipop in our town squares and boulevards. Fuck me, this is going to look bad if we ever lose again. Pezzo, what a summer it's been.
Oh, and the intros have become more and more indulgent. What did you have there? You had a Green Day reference, Harry Potter in there as well.
Yeah.
And they're the ones I just recognised.
Yeah.
Lollipops as well.
I had a lollipop reference.
Yeah. Welcome to the season finale, obviously. A bit of a last day of school vibe about it all, I'd suggest. And thanks to those who've been listening to the dailies, in particular those who are those sleuths who picked up 3 or 4 minutes of under the hood chat.
We were hacked.
Yeah, absolutely hacked.
We were
That's
hacked.
right. That wasn't us.
Is it the end or is it Super Bowl Monday, Pezza?
Well, that's my identity.
Yeah.
That's my identity. Yeah. I'm very sorry to the staff, the reams of staff that we have here in TGC Towers.
They've all turned up in Philadelphia Eagles or Eagles jerseys and they're eating wings at 10 a.m. having beers.
Yeah, Charlie's actually watching it on another screen, genuinely, right now. The sad Americanized... No, I mean, Super Bowl's good, isn't it?
Super Bowl's good.
Super Bowl's good. So we want to kind of wrap up the summer here, right? Just tie a little bow around it. And pretend that there's no one day is starting in Sri Lanka in a couple of days' time.
Wednesday?
Yeah, on Wednesday. Who's picked up the rights for that, by the way?
Yeah, looking forward. That is half the show, rights deals. That's what people care about.
It's a summer of triumphalism amid the decline of international cricket as catastrophe looms. But do we do anything better in Australia than bury our heads in the sand and circle jerk each other about how good we are as other stuff is happening that we're not watching? Yeah. We will talk about the sale of the 100 later.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka series, Australians are waking up to headlines, even from Crick Info, saying how Australia played like the home side in Asia Masterclass.
Perfect. Fox
Sports, obviously. Aussie batters insane numbers amid 4 perfect 10s and 1 glaring fail. Series player ratings.
That was just on the circuit afterwards.
That's right. We're just talking about birds.
4 10s and 1 disaster.
Glaring fail. Yeah, I mean... we have that dichotomy in Australia, that duality, where we look at a series win like this, think... Teams gone by in Australia don't do that against unfamiliar Sri Lankan players. Mm-hmm. And yet once it happens, we go, that's actually what I expected.
That's right.
By the same token. So historically, that doesn't happen, but also what they've achieved is par. I think it says more about how misguided our expectations are. Because we take winning seriously, as Barry Ronay says. Too seriously, actually. There's a problem with how we take it.
How are you, Barry?
How are you, Barris? He written a good article this week as well. We'll get to that. We were awash with player success.
Yeah.
None more so for me than Steve Smith becoming Savant Mark II again. I never thought we'd see it again, but we've had another opportunity to see it in its full flow, and what a thing it is to behold. Just him just getting back into the matrix, knowing where the ball is, batting in a baggy green, awash with stats about runs as captain, runs in Asia, more catches. He's going past Indian players. It's annoying people online.
Yes.
He's gesticulating with his hands. It looks very good because of the numbers he's putting up.
He's a batter.
He's making judicious bowling changes. It was like we had a chance to go back in time for a little bit and enjoy it. And again, the duality of like, how long is he going to play for? Does he still want to play, or will he play until he's like 48?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Fucking Walt Disney stuff. Freeze him. Bring him back when we need him.
Cryogenic stuff.
Poor bloke's got diabetes now. He's been fucking his face with chocolate for weeks.
That's how good it was. Oh, I mean, his innings in the test just gone by in goal. The second test was a masterclass, coming in 3 for spit. Obviously 2 for spit, but quickly 3 for spit, doing everything, and just turning them into like third grade 80k an hour doorknob bowlers.
That was Friday. So what was it? Day 2. Yeah, that was an oddly. It was really odd the last sort of 2 sessions of that game, with the way that Carey and Smith just like looked in absolute complete control. Like no one else looked that comfortable except when Australia got 659 in the first test, I suppose. But on a wicket that probably had a bit more in it. It probably had a bit more in it than the first test. But like I was saying this yesterday, there's like degrees of There's degrees of like raggedness, right? Because when we played in India,
it was the wrong kind of ragger.
Yeah, it was a little bit slower turn. It wasn't like unpredictable bounce. There was some natural variation, but it was a spinning deck. In as much as it obviously wasn't a seamer's deck, though. Stark has just had an amazing series, amazing 2 tests. In when he was brought onto bowl, but it's like it was just a new challenge that we consistently have failed for decades. But as you rightly say, 2-0 feels about right. Winning a game by an innings and the other game by 9 wickets, it feels about right.
Just like lying on the couch of an afternoon when it comes on, free to air. By the way, everything is novel. You're switching over. It's Border Force. It's the Chase. It's Larry Emder. It's Steve Smith's about to bring out 100. It's ads.
Yeah.
I'm complaining about it because we're doing well, and you're learning as you go.
It's Blue eating a Maxibon.
Exactly, Blue's eating a Maxibon. The tension between him and Cope's unbelievable. Sexually,
of course. That's why it's to separate them so far apart on that desk.
It's beautiful TV.
Yeah.
There's a lot to enjoy about it. And as we're watching, I'm like, as a man of my vintage, generally speaking, if Australia is 3 for not many and there's spin on, it's quickly all out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that doesn't get arrested. A couple of guys might whack it around a little bit, but that'll be like a brief interlude, a parentheses to just a cyclone of death by spin. But now we're learning about new ball spinning decks, and that the ball's going old and turning from a solid to a gas, and asking a question to a question, broom and reverse broom. Like the Australian team looks to have somehow like become okay at batting in Asia, which means that the only possible response we must have is that Sri Lanka's shit. That's where they ascended to.
That's a takeaway from this.
That's an Australian response to it.
Yeah. I would say that I was expecting Sri Lanka to be better than what they've shown. I mean, like they were just so far behind in the first test, and they haven't been able to arrest that. Obviously, it's their greatest ever loss in that first test match. An innings in 252, I think. 42.
42, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you touch a woman?
But like, given they were so close to making it to the World Test Championship final, they just needed to get 2 results out of South Africa and Australia in their last 4 Test matches, and they've lost all 4 games. Now, like that's probably just shows that they sort of regressed to where they've ended up. Now they finished 6th in the World Test Championship table. They've played 13 games and they lost 8 of them. So, it's not great. But I was expecting them to be a little bit better. I mean, we've seen Jai Surya literally do it against us the last time that Australia was there, right? So, but geez, that batting looked unders. But then maybe Australia's bowlers are just really good. Maybe Nathan Lyon's an even better bowler than what he was, what was it, 3 years ago they last went to Sri Lanka? Kuhnemann's just been out. He's been not a find, but because... Well, he's a little bit. I mean, last time he played for Australia, he was picked out of Queensland's second 11. He played the tests in India there because Ashton Agar went home, right? And now he's got a regular gig at Tasmania. He's been doing fantastically well there, and he's just relentless in the 4 innings that Australia's bowled here, always in the game. Just goes to show how crucial left arm spin is in those countries. But
general.
still good.
Yep. Nathan Lyon said he was Australia's best bowler. Magnanimous from Nathan Lyon, who passed 550 Test match wickets. Just let it wash over.
McGrath next, 563.
Yeah, that's right. Can he go past Murali? And you know, Kuhnemann did it with courage.
Yes.
With what happened to his hand and all, where a doctor was at the Big Bash League. No one's asking about that.
It's a win for medicine.
It's a win for medicine as well. His toughness is reflective of the fact he's a Queenslander, apparently. That's Queensland stuff. Doesn't happen if he's not a Queenslander who plays for Tasmania. Apparently his nickname's Jadoo now.
Good.
I think they were flirting with Heineken for a bit, which is either a reference to the beer or a county cricketer.
I am keen to get away the other nickname that people have been calling him. So
I just think any alternative is good to go.
Yeah.
Cheers. You know, I mean, looks like Cowan's been bodied by Travis Head on Instagram.
Dunked on the gram.
Lawler got bodied.
Yeah, well, he's a terrorist.
Is it? Yeah. Pete Lawler is a terrorist and a rabid anti-Semite.
The world needs to wake up.
It had to be said. Yeah. It had to be said, and it's been clear.
Yes,
been clear for quite
first time I met
time.
him.
Oh yeah, it's
he's bad news.
I can't believe. Yeah,
he's bad news.
I can't believe it takes this long.
he hid it for so long, didn't he? Yeah.
Charlie's worried. And now what the team has earned is they've ascended to the language of final frontier talk.
Oh my God!
You know what I'm saying? This is what they've given
Tugger.
us. Yeah, and you know, all while Bailey has failed the entire time.
Head Pike.
Might
as well call him Pike.
Yeah,
which is where I want his head.
Not to be confused with former Swans rockman Mike Pike and Canadian rugby union player.
Yeah,
right.
Good name.
Call him Michael.
What about buckets?
Well, and then Slug. What a tour he's had. What a versatile and like accomplished cricketer he has shown himself to be.
Has it
you
been
can develop yourself in the Sheffield Shield?
Interesting. I might start following that competition for certain players, I think,
of course,
and from certain states. But has anyone ever had a better start to a Test career in the history of cricket in these 3 tests than Beau Webster? I don't think so.
Probably.
Name me one.
I don't know. Someone's got 100, I guess.
Yeah, but he's chipped in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah. I haven't seen him take a catch without someone mentioning the word bucket. That's all I'm saying. When he can get there,
yeah.
He, like as we've said on the dailies, I don't know if people, you know, some listen to dailies, some don't, but I actually feel sorry for him. He's unable. He takes all these excellent catches that you only can take if you're good at cricket. But every single catch he takes is understood through the prism of his body. You know, like it's like Cameron Green as well. Like he's actually objectified. For doing it. He can't. He doesn't have hand-eye.
Yeah.
He doesn't have athleticism, anticipation, dynamism, read the game, anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, mate, if you've been born with laundry baskets on your hands, of course you should take it. You should swallow everything.
He's basically
and by
playing.
the same token, if you drop one, how does that happen? Is there holes in them?
Yeah, with those hands, he's basically playing Mario Kart with a star, with an eternal star.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, can't be touched. Fucking electric, getting ramps.
Yeah,
Rainbow Road stuff.
As Australia was collapsing, you know, they lost 7-64 on the third day at Jayasuri, new ball spinning wicket. We all know that was going to happen. You know, Smith gets knocked over, Carey gets knocked over. You know, Savant and the rising star of Carey. Beau Webster's the only guy who seemed able to construct an effective game plan. He makes half of those runs in that capitulation, and even so, the commentator's like, "Well, look at the reach of him." I mean, it was like, well, he should. You know, every single time he plays a sweep shot, it doesn't matter how big you are. Like if you're playing a sweep shot, the ball could hit you in the face. It requires courage. It requires skill, precision. It requires coordination. And every time he effects a sweep or a reverse sweep, they're just like, well, look how far down the deck he can get.
Obvious,
that's right. I mean, it really is what Mark Waugh's been asking for this whole time. Gets her on the full. It is we should be looking for 6'5" cricketers from now on.
I think we are. He's also created a really great problem where I think if you had said at the beginning of the Sydney Test match, what is the lineup going to be in June for the World Test Championship final, right, then you would think, well, Green might just slot back in for Webster when that time comes because Mitch Marsh is probably, you know, this is probably the end of his Test career, right? Unfortunately for him. But you
never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Good Shield season, bad off stuff.
Yeah, I suppose so. But
Gets his body right.
oh, look, of course that's the answer. But then like now Beau Webster's just become this integral part of the side in these 3 Test matches where he's shown versatility. He's shown that he is a contributor in home and away conditions. He's 3 Tests, it's a tiny sample size, right? But very hard to see how he doesn't play at Lords. I mean, of course, all options are available here. They could just literally swap him out for Cam Green, who can obviously bowl, but maybe the makeup of that side is going to be really interesting, generally speaking, because I guess Constance is opening the batting, I suppose. I mean, there's no... I don't know how you like pick a team right now. They'll just take a squad and they'll just, I don't know, flip a coin, I guess. But anyway, the point being that like his contributions in these 3 Test matches have been so valuable and like just so impressive. Like it is the catching, it is like presence, it is runs, it's wickets with 2 different disciplines. All of a sudden he's created this depth in Australian cricket that Australia has. All of a sudden, it felt like at the Perth Test matches, like fucking hell. I mean, I was saying this. Ooh, big old cliff face about to have an Australian cricket now.
Cliff, yeah.
Yeah.
The other good thing about Slug is that like when we live in an international, like a global cricket context, which really focuses on the features of a player. Like what are the levers? What are the mitts? Like how big can he bomb it? How fast can he bowl?
Right.
And when you're 6'5", you get that even more so. You're just a person with features. Whereas like he's a really good cricketer. Like he has skills. You know what I mean? Like he can bowl off spin. He can bowl medium pace.
I think he's taller than 6'5", which is important.
True. He's 200 plus, isn't he? He's got Greeny covered.
201 is 6.59. 6'6".
6'6", of course. Yeah. That's simple. And thanks for correcting that. And
sorry, I needed like I need 6'6".
I think when we're talking height, you got to get it right. That's fair enough. But he's got skills in like finesse conditions now as well. So it's like he's a guy he's worked on his game for a long time. He's become really good at cricket in different conditions.
Yeah, he's a really good cricketer.
It's a really novel idea.
Yeah.
Like he can do it in Asia. He can go to county cricket, do well there. He does well in Shield cricket. His runs speak for itself, and like he's had to do that like year after year after year after year.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we'll give you a go. Which
is unusual for someone that's so big, because usually if you're big and you're quite good, you'd be like, fuck, this guy needs to play.
I reckon you could be too tall for people to trust your runs.
Like Zach Crawley.
Tall
runs.
What do they say? Yeah. Like, you have to work twice as hard for half the rewards.
Right. Right.
I think that's been the case with Slug, and he just continues to impress. I mean, okay, he's been 50, 20, and 30. Okay.
Yeah, settle down, boys.
At a couple of polls, but it's catches. It's the whole thing. He's in the game. He looks good. It's a start. It's a whole aesthetic. Connor Cooperley.
Yeah, Connor
Cooperley. Where are we at? What do we do?
I'm just a bit confused by Australia's won the game and they've blooded someone, but someone that's so raw. I think he's played 4 first-class games, right? I know Cummins had played 3. Yeah. But Cummins was so thoroughbred. I mean, they were just looking at the eyes and they were like, Jesus Christ, he needs to play cricket for Australia.
Yeah, Cummins was bowling in the nets. I think the story is now he's 8 years old in the nets.
He was 8 years old in the nets.
And he littered Ponting. And they said, get him in.
Yeah. And Benno was watching him. Yeah. And he was like, fucking hell.
That's right.
Wow.
And Daphne.
Yeah. And Nathan Lyon had played 5 first-class games, and they're like, those are 2 contrasting careers.
And he was a groundsman.
Yeah, well, he never played cricket before.
Yeah, he was a groundsman to that point.
Yeah, he was a groundsman.
It was a series for backstories, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like Alex Carey scores 100. That just means we've got to talk about him playing for GWS.
Yeah, right. Well, of course.
You know what I mean?
'Tis the season.
Yeah.
Anyway, like with Connor Cooperley, it's he fits in between the 4 first-class games, 1 more than 3, 1 less than 5. But I suppose that there is some pedigree there. He's done some good things in the Big Bash. Hasn't really had a chance just yet to excel for Western Australia or in Shield cricket generally. But I'm just surprised by it, because when they picked him, it didn't really feel like there was a great reason, given like how the game panned out, because he bowled 5 overs and he batted 8, and like runs were what they were asking for, right? They thought they needed more runs on the deck. They thought he was going to spin a bit more, but I mean the bowling was the bowling is probably just not quite there yet for Test cricket. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything, but it was just a bit. I'm just surprised they didn't pick Murphy, who I think is a fantastic play. He's done really well for Victoria. He played well in the Ashes.
Kind of deck as well.
Yeah.
His square spin and undercut spin. Like he did really well in Nagpur with that. If you remember the first test of the 2023 series against India, he took 7 on debut. Line took 1. And that was the kind of deck where if you bowled that square seam and undercut, just as Jayasuriya did in this test, there was a lot of benefit there, but he didn't get a chance.
He didn't bowl that much in the first test, so they might have felt like he was maybe unders in that first test, I suppose. I guess what they felt was that Travis Head could do a job, but they basically picked Travis Head to bowl ahead of him to try and get the other batter into the side. But Connor Copley's batting 8, so like I would have thought maybe McSweeney's there. I mean, they sent Constance home, pick an extra batter. I don't know. Like, look, happy for him to get the game and blood of the guy. This guy could play 150 Test matches. I don't know. It just felt a bit of an odd one.
Yeah, I think Australia, like generally speaking, they go there. It's pretty. The selection philosophy is conservative, and I think at the start of the summer, particularly when they lost in Perth, people really started shining a spotlight on how old the team is, and that we better start regenerating soon. But Australia only ever, I guess, experiments with teams or like bloods people when they're in such an impregnable position that you can afford to do it. And I thought that's what this was. I think they finally went like, okay, well, we've got the trophy, the Ward Muirleathan trophy. We've won everything else. The public will is pretty good. I think we can speculate on a selection and end the summer being able to say, well, although guys are getting old, we've handed out debuts to 5 guys, in 7 tests, of which Connor Cooperley, is one, and I think they see him as a guy for the future. But it is hard to see when he'd next be involved. And it's funny from an optics.
West Indies maybe.
Yeah, good point. I think the reason I say that is I think they asked Smith last night, and he was really vociferous about how Marnus needs to be 3, less so about Connor Cooperley. But you never know. You never know as much. But I just think he's like they're like, oh, you're going to be a good cricketer. Let's get you in. They like what he did in the Shield final. Yeah. They think he's a guy with composure, a guy for the big occasion, steps up when there's better opposition, and they want him in and around.
It's probably a selection where it's a great rap for him. That's a real nod of the cap. Like we like what you're about, we like what you're doing. Because if you look at so Australia and England have played Test cricket at the same time over the same 140 years or whatever it's been, and you look at how many people play for England compared to Australia, and Australia's selection is so conservative. I mean, they've probably had more success. I mean, they have had more success in the recent years, but there's been like so many. Like England have a different selection policy, whereas in Australia it's basically fucking hard to get a game, and it's also hard to lose your spot. But when you look at Marnus, for example, he's been afforded more games because the team's winning, and obviously I think his last century, unless I'm wrong, would have been Old Trafford, where he saved the Ashes for Australia. Yeah. Pretty significant contribution. Now, like you can't just live off that forever, but he's a guy that has averaged at times 60 in Test cricket. So like they have a guy. Now, like maybe the answer might be for him to be out of the side and go back to Shield cricket and do something that he actually never has done, score runs for Queensland. I don't know, but like it'd be such a huge call to leave him out for the World Test Championship, for instance, or the Ashes, or even the West Indies. I mean, I think it's likely he's going to play. But the problem is that Cameron Green has become the greatest player of all time, whilst he hasn't been playing.
Of course.
Although his last performances in New Zealand were some of his best. In fact, they were his best ever. Hitting 175 not against New Zealand in New Zealand is pretty good. So who knows what that team's going to be? But it's just interesting. And all of a sudden, this is part of the Connor Cooperley situation. It's like there's some depth in the side now, as with Beau Webster, as with Josh English, sorry. Yeah. But I'm looking at Alex Carey, 156 in this game. Now averages 35 in tests.
Yeah, I like that.
Fucking hell, that is.
See, with keepers, it's what's the second number? You know what I mean? I mean, it's a 3 to begin with, but if you're looking at 5s, can you push it up to 6?
Yeah,
mate, it's Shangri-La.
Yeah, 200s, 950s, I think. A couple of red inks in there, I'd imagine. But he's playing as good as he ever has. I think he's 33. I think he's 33
years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that's still in the wheelhouse of good cricket for a couple of years.
I just think it was a 100 that is in keeping with like his ability. You know, it's so funny with keepers because they come in at 7. So many of them have so much ability, you know, to play, but that's where they bat, and they've got to bat in that kind of style. And he's done that many times for Australia. But to take that one opportunity coming in at 5, where his competitor, you know, had done his Jimmy Jack. Shout out to Gary Jack, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
And so, you know, really with no notice, under pressure, 3 for not many. Smith and Khawaja put in a little bit of a partnership, but you know, in that circumstance, and then, you know, having an incredible partnership with Smith, it's huge. I think it's huge for him. He was always solidified anyway. They love him in that team.
The gloves are so good.
Yeah.
The gloves are getting better and better. When he first came in, he had that problem where like catches in front of first slip sort of thing, but that hasn't really materialised in the last few years anyway. I mean, he's been near perfect, more or less, in Asia and in Australia. So, I mean, in Australia, it looks fucking fun to be a wicketkeeper in the slips, to be honest, in the last few years. But because you get to stand really far back and it's you're just in the game all the time. But yeah, I mean, what I like about Carey and his footballness, he's a footy guy. He's a footy guy. He's fallen back to cricket.
Fallen back on cricket, yeah.
But the calmness when there's a review, I like that he's there, because there's a lot of voices, especially in these circumstances where Smith's won and Marnus is bat pad, where just about every single thing's out, and it very rarely is. But Carey's like his dad, like sorting out dinner when the kids want ice cream.
That's right. He's like for a review. He's like at the head of the table, isn't he? And he's just listening to everybody, and his eyes tell the story. Like he's like, I'm surrounded by people with undiagnosed ADHD, and I just like it's okay. He's just talking to the right people.
Yeah. Where's the Ritalin?
Yeah. Where's the Ritalin? Where's the medication? Well, is the short acting or long? Yeah, yin and yang. No, that's great. Yeah, who else? I mean, you know, Joss English as well, 100. I mean, we're just going through names of people who performed, as we should. So, just a really good tour for Australia, I think. A really good tour for Australia. Of course, the selector's got to go, but
need to go.
So maybe we should just chat about summer as a whole.
Let's talk about the summer. Talk about the summer from Perth to Gaul. You know, I'm not sure after Perth we weren't quite calling for heads, but we were saying, like, you know, because you always back the team, because especially after what they've done, I think they deserve a bit of...
Australian cricket was in crisis. I mean,
it was in crisis.
When Australians wake up tomorrow morning, Australian cricket will be in crisis, I think was what was said.
From Gerald.
Gerald Wheatley. We laugh at that now, but we felt it. We felt it.
Well, we were nervous after getting boomered in the first test, but
every test.
But then since there, I mean, it's actually been perfect. Look, Sydney is one where you'd feel, look, if Bumrah stays fit, that's going to be a much more difficult chase. Well, they chase 160 or something.
Tell you what, when they showed highlights of that, having just watched like 4 hours of a Gaul deck, and then you saw the Sydney deck, you're like, holy shit, it's
a different sport.
It was a complete green top.
Yeah.
That was hectic.
Yeah. It's fun though, wasn't it?
Really fun. Really fun.
Especially when Bumrah was injured, he was in the hospital.
Yeah, that's right.
That was my favourite bit of the
when
summer.
You had like WWE cameras following him into a van.
With Triple H. I mean, like the takeaways from the summer for me, and include the Sri Lanka series, is like how good it's been and how many people have been invested in the cricket this summer. You know, I know when like the English press come out here, they have noted before that it's really great that so many people have like a casual interest in cricket, which is not their experience in the UK, where obviously there's a smaller amount of people, but they love it, the people that do follow the game. So what happened at Boxing Day in Sydney, just obviously the two biggest matches in the calendar, have just made it just one of the great summers in the last few years. You know, I think the Big Bash has been elevated. They seem to have shortened they did shorten the schedule, and that seemed to have dividends there. We've got a great Big Bash final. The weather was great. There was no washouts. Brisbane was washed out, wasn't it? Sorry. Bit of rain knocking about there, and then you get to the Sri Lanka series, and then like it's it gets me a free to air TV. We get annoyed about that, but also more people get to see it. It sort of extends this summer in the same way that in my brain it used to when the Benton and Hedges series started. Now, can we have a cigarette, please? Because I need to have a break. But when the white ball series started, like those were happy memories, because then like the Australian summer went all the way through to January, beginning of February. And in my experience the last few years, it hasn't quite done that. But because of the test series are going a little bit longer, we got a great Big Bash. It just felt like there was a richness to this summer that maybe been missing the last few years, and that might be because either England or India didn't come out here. But this summer, awesome. So excited for next summer. That's like my takeaway from from the summer. Less so like Cummins is a good bowler and, Steve Smith scored some hundreds recently. Less so. My feeling about the summer is it's been fucking good for the game. How do you feel?
Yeah, I want to... Yeah, you're completely right. You're completely right. I suppose the skeptical response I have to that is, to what extent is it influenced by strong opposition, and fans with connections to that country, So could we have a similar summer against any team other than England and India? Like, is that possible? Because I agree with you. It's been rich. It's been full. It's been immersive. It's had flow-on effects to other competitions like the Big Bash. I think the women's Ashes.
Yes.
That ordinarily it might not have. So could that be repeated if it wasn't India, for example? Right, and that's a negative view to look at it. I mean, it's just been a great summer. It did hark back to childhood, and it was just there to be enjoyed. But how repeatable is it? I think it's a summer for triumphalism. In the end, I think that the men's team needed to show that they could beat India in Test cricket, which they hadn't done for 10 years, to put it right, and they did emphatically enough in the end. Though it came down to the last day or two to do that.
Right.
I mean, if Bumrah plays on that last day or two, if something goes wrong, then it's 2-2 and we're having a completely different conversation. I think the team solidifies themselves as a very, very good team. And now they can use language like Final Frontier to become great. They needed to deal with the fact that it is an ageing team. They get debuts to McSweeney, Constance Webster, Inglis, Connolly in the end. I'll remember this BGT for what Bumrah did.
Yep.
It's a disgrace. No, we're watching great of the game, and he becomes a great of the game because he did it in front of us.
That's
during our time zone, and we're watching, and it's against us.
Yep.
Right. So we give it respect. I think Head becomes the most valuable batter in the side. I know Smith has a really good summer, but just in Australian conditions, again when we're watching. And then, the Constance factor as well, him doing something that everybody will remember forever, which at a objective, factual level changed the series. However much it polarizes what people think a cricketer should look like or what it's meant to look like, it was a circuit breaker that the Australian team needed against the wizardry of Bumrah. It did require luck, but he did it.
Yep.
And it completely electrified the side, and it electrified Australia, and that he'll always have that. He's now since been compared to Ray Gun by the English press. You might compare him to Happy Gilmore in a lot of ways, but remember, Happy learned how to putt. Happy did learn how to putt.
Yeah,
and he's 19, so it's very positive for him. I do. I think it's very positive. I do think it's his he's an extraordinary part of a side that is otherwise completely branded and based and valued around calmness and composure and maturity. And this is a 19-year-old kid who's still learning to roll up his sleeves or down, and allegedly. And I see interesting conversations and polarizing conversation ahead around that, but he looks to be a guy that could do a lot of business for Australia. So
just saw the quotes when he was sent home from the second Test match to play at the Gabba, which is obviously an international venue, and he's not played there before. So he was at the airport, and he was asked by, this actually might be by the Sydney Morning Herald now I think about it, and said, I just love the game and got caught in the moment. Definitely, he was talking about the MCG and the SCG Test matches that he played. I just love the game and got caught in the moment. Definitely, first time playing with the big crowds. I felt like the emotions got to me quite a bit, and hopefully, if I do that, if I get into that scenario again, I control that a bit better. He speaks so maturely, and these are all the stories. Never met him, but all the stories of us saying that he's from a really great family, humble kid, etc. And what he did is so polarizing to even how he speaks about it. He's obviously speaking about it now, being like, "Oh yeah, I was just fucking out of control." but that was
a very interesting concession, isn't it? I think.
But that was part of the the richness of the experience. Like, this was just a kid who had no context or experience of what he was doing, and it felt like he was living this out of body experience at the same time. And like he's conceded there that, like, look, probably went a little bit too far, but you know, I love the there is a maturity to those quotes that he's like, yeah, he has some self awareness, which bodes well. Now, like, this guy's played 2 tests and he's got 50 and a couple of 20s, but what if it's the best thing we've ever seen?
Yeah, it's interesting times ahead, I think.
So the World Test Championship table, South Africa finishes top. They played 12 games. They won 8 of them. They lost 3. Australia played 19 games. They played 13. Only lost 4 games. That started in Ashes 2023. So they lost 2 games in England. They lost 1 against India. Then they got Shamar Josephed at the Gabba. The World Test Championship cycle included India, Pakistan, West Indies home, England, New Zealand, Sri Lanka away. They didn't play against Bangladesh or South Africa, of course. So 4 losses out of that is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And that's, you know, I was actually thinking about Shamar Joseph. Like, that was the end of last summer when he did that. I mean, so many people in Australia were so happy that happened because it was so exciting. Like, people love West Indies cricket, etc. And then Shamar Joseph got picked up by LSG, didn't he, in the IPL, but he didn't play because I think he broke his toe. Oh, he broke his toe he was bowling with a broken toe.
He's always been able to bowl with a broken toe.
Yeah, but I haven't even heard his name since then. I mean, he played in England, but he was bowling about like 15 k's an hour slower, so maybe a bit out of rhythm, maybe a bit injured. But like, that's a shame because I thought that was like this is a breakout superstar on our shores that we've just seen. But anyway. Point saying is he bowled well that day, I suppose. But 2 losses in England, 1 against India, 1 against West Indies over the course of 2 years. It's pretty good. Not perfect, so I'm a bit upset. But
well, I guess the summer was also notable for recently learning about, trailing the idea of 2 tiers in Test cricket. And I think in the last week or so, it's being briefed that India and England are catching up to potentially change the structure of the World Test Championship to, as far as I can see, better ensure they make it to the finals.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, so in the next cycle, Australia's got to go to, does Australia go to England and India in that next cycle, or does it finish before then? Will there be a cycle? How does it work? Is it 2 tiers? Who knows?
2 tiers. So the next, this current FTP, the Future Tours program cycle, ends 2027, which would be the end of next World Test Championship cycle. So that'd be like June. Because
I'm just saying, if Australia in the next cycle has to go away to India and England, which are the 2 places we don't win.
Yeah. That's hard.
That's going to be hard.
So
but put any team in front of us right now, and I expect to obviously whitewash,
wipe the floor with them.
Exactly.
Well, this World Test Championship cycle started with the Ashes, so maybe the next one starts with the Ashes as well. I guess there's an easy way to find out, but it's not really our job. So but we should speculate about it.
I expect, like Ben Stokes does, for Australia to play some good cricket, and if they're good enough, they'll end up in the final. And just then someone else will tell me if they're there.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Even though half the team's going to retire.
That's right.
But also win.
We need to thank our friends Ponting Wines, Pezza.
Yeah.
Ponting Wines, 20% off all full price wines using the code GETAFEW at pontingwines.com.au. I think we learnt last year, didn't it? It doesn't redirect, or it does redirect?
Oh, we did this last week, didn't we? But we better check again. I think it's .au definitely. I actually think .com is up for sale.
It's up for sale. Up for grabs.
Let's just see who's sort of hosting that as well. Let's go to .com.
Yeah.
And Dyna. It's actually registered Dyna.au. So
pontingwines.com.au.
It's an Australian company.
20% off all full price wines using the code GETAFEW. A great summer with Ponting Wines. Supported us from this whole collection of podcasts. This is the last podcast for the summer, by the way. Hence the title, Sucker Fucker Ding Dong, which was a queer choice in the end. A queer choice in the end. What the fuck? Why did I say that? That's queer. Why did I say that? Don't know why that was in my head. That's a queer choice.
I just never heard you use the word.
I think I was trying to say weird.
I knew.
But queer came out.
Maybe quite a weird.
Yeah.
Queer.
Yeah, queer. Well, there goes the show. Sucker fucker ding dong.
That was a very queer choice.
Yeah, that was a queer choice of words.
Oh man. Yeah, and obviously Punter, was there for one of the moments of the summer for us.
Yeah.
At the Enmore Theatre as well. So
yes,
that was huge having Punter and Gilly there.
It was.
Punter trying to bring out his A-grade material because Gilly was on fire, and I thought it was A-grade material, frankly.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Ponting. It's a great drop.
Great drop.
And thanks for backing. It's been working with Ponting Wines, David, there for several years, and
I reckon 4.
Yeah,
5
might be.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd love to continue working with them, and the next goal would be to see if Ricky knows our first names.
I think the code should be our names, perhaps.
I don't want him to know, Like as I said, I think I said this before. Like we walked on stage and he was standing with us, and he patted us both on the bum and said, "Go get him." And I was like, "Oh, fuck. Brick walls." Absolutely. I mean, I tripped over as I went on stage. Yeah.
And a final shout out for the small run we've been doing with Budgy Smuggler. Talk about long-term partners, Budgy Smuggler.
The longest.
.com.au. The 2 designs left. There's a very limited stock now available in the navy for the smugglers, and the sky blue designs are still available in all sizes. BudgySmuggler.com.au. No more t-shirts, unfortunately. All those run out the door. The look good, play good, feel good. A la Tim Payne. But thanks very much for Budgy for putting this together.
Look good, feel good, play good. Look good, play good, feel good. Where did we get to with it?
Look good, play good, feel good.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, but that's what Payne said.
Yes.
But the actual saying is look good, feel good, play good.
So I like how you say it, because it kind of puts in like the order of priorities of your life. Feel good is only the thing that you need in order to ladder up to the actual thing that you want, which is to play good.
Yeah. Feel good is cellar dweller stuff.
Yeah.
Relegation battle.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks to Budgy for making that happen. All right, let's... budgysmuggler.com.au is where you go to find that, if you didn't already know that. They're talking about India and England, Pezza. They were in a white ball. They were embroiled in a white ball series, and it's all coming up India. India won the T20 series 4-1. Abhishek Sharma opened the batting, hit 279 runs in 5 games for India at the top. He was opening with Sanju Samson.
He's a weapon. He's very good.
India are 2-0 up in the ODIs. They've won both games. They've chased both games, won by 4 wickets in each game. There's one more game to play on Wednesday in Ahmedabad. Last game, the second ODI, Rohit Sharma hit 119 in that's his 32nd ODI 100. That seems pretty good. Wow. They chased down 308. It's not coming out great for England so far. So they played 6 games and England won 1. India, they played 7 games. India won 6 of those. England won, so one more game to play. Now, this is relevant, I suppose, for the white ball for the ODIs, because Australia and England are in the same group for the Champions Trophy, which we're all hanging out for, of course, with Australia's in the group with England, South Africa and Afghanistan. That's right. So that's what's happened in that series, Pezza. It's been fun for India. Rohit Sharma's back in the runs. Maybe his best is yet to come.
Well, I liked Barney Ronay's article this week, or Barry's.
Barry?
Where the headline is, "I was wrong to say Bazball is a cult. It's actually a death cult." So you got to say, for all the people who are, getting their knickers in a twist about his, clearly humour-driven comparison of Constas to Raygun. He's a lot harder on his own.
Yes.
Barry. So I commend the article, but I've got to say, anytime I just hear of like a 150 game ODI series against India, that they're put together for Star Sports highlights. Yeah. And if that's happening for India, then good luck to them or whatever. But I just don't know what you can read into it with, and we haven't even got onto the Champions Trophy yet, which is a huge tournament. Yeah, I think Australia goes to India for some white ball games this year, which of course they do, and we'll all be hanging out for that. It's a good bet. I think it might be in September. I think every year Australia and England go to India for some white ball games. I can't remember a year they haven't done that. Now, I can't actually remember the tournaments happening either. The series happening, but that's just the way it goes. But if it's fodder, TV needs some highlights. Get a team that you hate over there, knock them over, bang, money in the bank. Do you want to talk about the 100 while we're in the neighbourhood of England? Yeah. Vijay Tagore on CricBuzz writes, Indian Czechs power English cricket's new era. So Czechs, CHEQUES. Right. Indian Czechs power English cricket's new era. And he goes on to say, just over halfway through the disinvestment process, so for background for people, there's 800 franchise, 100 franchises, as in eight.
100, yeah. Yeah.
8 franchises available from the 100.
The 100.
Guys who can talk. They've sold 6 already in this auction process. 6 have been purchased. And as VJ says here, just they're beyond halfway through the process, but the expressions being used in England for the responses are cricket's Brexit, reverse colonisation, Indian checks.
Oh, fuck. Reverse colonisation.
Ali Martin writes a really good piece in The Guardian. The headline is 100 auction leaves counties feeling flush. So it's about giving, recapitalising county cricket for the next 20 to 25 years. I'll go through the sale of these teams in a second, but no longer calling the shots. Minority Partners is going to have major influence with a combined valuation of 8 teams tracking towards £1 billion. This is UK stuff. They were aiming for $500 million, I think, and it's looking closer to $1 billion. I'm just reading from Ali's piece here, article. At the time of writing, the England and Wales Cricket Board has raised around £400 million by selling 49% stakes in 6 of the 100's 8 teams. Investors for the remaining 2, Trent Rockets and Southern Brave, are expected to follow next week. So just to go through it, Northern Superchargers, like the Yorkshire one, that's been purchased by Sunrisers Hyderabad people for $100 million. Manchester Originals, that's Simon Kadich's Manchester Originals,
of course,
purchased by LSG, Lucknow Supergiants, $81 million. The London Spirit, which is the Lords team, to Middlesex and stuff like that, reportedly keen to avoid IPL ownership so as to continue calling the shots.
Okay.
They were successfully purchased by a consortium of big boppers from Microsoft, Google, and Times Internet.
Yeah.
For $144 million.
Yeah.
49% of London Spirit. And the Ambanis, who's Mumbai Indians, they were apparently in for London Spirit for the Lords thing, but decided otherwise or were moved otherwise. I'm not sure. They've picked up the Oval Invincibles for $60 million. That's Ambani's with Mumbai Indians. So MI Oval Invincibles. Jonathan Liu's written a very good piece about it, or an interesting piece about it a week ago. And he says that the Ambanis spent more money on a Mediterranean cruise with entertainment such as Katy Perry and Pitbull on it.
They've picked up the Oval Invincibles.
Oval Invincibles for £60 million. Washington Freedom tech tycoon Sanjay Govil gets the Welsh Fire for £33 million. He wants synergies between... So he's in charge of Washington Freedom. He wants synergies between the MLC and the 100, even though they run back-to-back. He says it's all one big family. And Birmingham Phoenix have been bought by Knighthead Capital, who are Birmingham City owners in the English football.
Right.
So people from Birmingham are saying, well, at least half the city's going to hate them because they're Villa fans. And they still, Trent Rocket and Southern Brave. I mean, I'm just reading out names and numbers and stuff, but I do think that line, and Johnny Liu also says, and I think it's quite a good line, he says, England no longer loves or values cricket. Why not pass the reins to people who actually do? And I think that's actually a fair question. But a lot of money coming into the game in England, 10% for grassroots, but what do you lose? I guess that's the, what do they say about private equity? There's always free cheese in a mousetrap.
Think about, we've been talking about private equity in the Big Bash, not over and over, but we have done it for a little while in the last couple of years, and it's difficult to see how the domestic T20 league in Australia survives without private equity. And when you've had, and you especially, have had such a huge Big Bash season where the numbers are back up again, maybe there is a way to avoid Indian hegemony and create a great tournament here. But I don't know. But then you look at how Indian owners are buying up every square on the Monopoly board. Why wouldn't they just put the SA20 on the exact same time as the Big Bash and put all the best players in there? And then, we'll have Mitch Owen playing for us forever. But, it is an interesting question.
I think it's an interesting question. I just think if you have an enormous population who are very wealthy, who by all basic metrics love the game more than you do and can capitalise it more in the financial context that we live in, then it follows that they're going to want to own that space.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the walls are closing in on Australian cricket in that front? I mean, probably, but it's been a really great summer.
Yeah,
Slugs come into the team.
And the tests have been good. The Sri Lanka series was fun.
The Australian team's going well. Big Bash looking good. Mitch Owen, etc. Does he come in for the Champions Trophy?
Yeah.
There's plenty of spots available in the Australian team.
Do we have an 11 at the moment?
So I think it's important to strike a tone of of skepticism and neutrality when it comes to what this private ownership of England's 100 tournament will mean.
Yeah.
And I note in Ali's article the real question is whether the 100 itself as a format will revert to T20 cricket to create a kind of a standardisation that it probably, even though, cricket does evolve, that might have been a step too far, that it probably will go back to T20 cricket. But
it's funny, like at the time when the ECB created the 100, the thought was at the time it was there to be bought, and now it is being bought. So I guess it's a successful product. Now, and I guess that's actually when I think about Indian buying up all the spaces, all the territories, right? That's fine because they've got the biggest population, more money, and the most love for it, right? So of course it makes sense.
Most people watch it on TV.
And the only way that, in Australia, for instance, the only way that you would not let that happen, inverted commas, would be that if you've got a plan outside of that. And I've never really felt like they do. Never really felt like, there's a strong leadership here, and like we've actually got a clear direction about where we want to take this. I've never really felt that, if I'm honest.
True.
I might be wrong.
I think it's a really with to be fair to Cricket Australia, I think it's quite a challenging strategic landscape that they operate in.
Yeah.
I just think that globally you have the opportunities that India presents and the money that brings into the game, but also the desire to control that India naturally has. I think when you have the money, you want to be in control of what's going on. And then on the other hand, Australia has Cricket Australia has the issue of the rising popularity and a duopoly of the footy codes as well that encroach into what used to be cricket season either side. There's so it doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's all of these entertainment properties, at a global level and at a domestic level that are increasing their popularity. Cricket has to find a way to remain popular, to work with these potential competitors, but also stave them off and keep kids interested in the game so that it sustains. It's not the easiest situation. You've got to, I don't know.
It's like the whole thing as well is that there's a bit not a war, but there's a battle going on between how much red ball cricket there is, how much white ball cricket. All these tournaments seem to have a meaninglessness to them, and so it's all a bit But then at the same time, if you keep playing tests forever against the same couple of nations, and then you only get good test series every couple of summers, and it's that's not really very sustainable. So I don't have an answer, but no, interesting times ahead, I suppose. Is my point.
Well, it was ahead of this summer. Really, we wondered whether it would be a bit of a summit on the future of cricket and what it all means. But maybe in a beautiful way, we've actually just enjoyed the thing itself and gone, this is really good.
It's been good.
But is it a bit of an aberration? Is Australian cricket for the next little while let's enjoy the summers when two teams that play the code come out in India and England. Let's do that a little bit more. Everyone else is falling by the wayside. And when does we call it's called the big three, but when is it really the big one? And just as England has started to sell things off to keep capitalising the game because it can't do it itself.
Yeah.
Will that happen to Australia? What happens if you don't do it? I don't really know the answer, but I don't think it's an easy kind of landscape for Cricket Australia to operate.
Well, what you need to understand is that the Earth is round. Let's talk about the Champions Trophy or one in the neighbourhood.
Yeah, in the neighbourhood of games for money.
Here's who's out. And meaninglessness games, yeah. Mitch Marsh is out with a back injury. Cummins is out. Hazelwood's out. Stoinis is retired from ODIs. Why does no one want to play?
What do you mean? It's just a shocking coincidence of injuries and pullouts. I know. I mean, I did like that Stoinis was selected then retired. That's alpha from him as far as I'm concerned.
That is alpha.
But I noticed actually, it was positive. I mean, it was positive that some of these guys would be pretty, if they are carrying niggles, for example, would be pretty keen to avoid exacerbating them ahead of an IPL, for example, you know? And like, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
quite an accusation you just made there. I'm joking.
Thankfully, it was posited by someone else unnamed.
Joking. Well, in other news, Jacob Bethel's been ruled out for England as well, Pezza. Following that news from India and England, Jacob Bethel's ruled out. Now, Jacob Bethel, so like obviously he has not scored a first-class 100, was picked for England in the New Zealand series, did well over there.
Good shapes.
Played for the Renegades here. I got to tell you, like, it's very easy to be like, who the fuck is this? And like, obviously if your main rivals have got big raps on a player, it's up to us being like, yeah. And England doing the same thing with Constance, of course. That's just how it goes. That's how sport works, right? But got to tell you,
and even in the case of Jimmy Anderson, you'll never respect it.
Who?
Exactly. No, I mean that's not for me. That's not my view, by the way.
Jacob Bethel looks the fucking business. It looks good. It wouldn't be the first English player to look good and do nothing. Don't get me wrong, but no, he's got a left hander. It's beautiful. It looks very good.
In like.
Hope he gets out for 10
in all
ducks in the
seriousness,
Ashes.
can we just on the Australian Champions Trophy campaign?
Yes,
this is going to be a great example of everybody silently agreeing that this is not a high priority tournament, but we will be spitting chips if they are not lifting that trophy by the end. Would that be about right?
India will win it, and they'll try to tell us that it means something.
Yeah, but there will be sort of. Will there be inquiries or just even muted inquiries in Australian cricket if there is some kind of failure? Like, is making the final par for this? Is there any scenario where Australia could be like, or will that be the power of footy?
Here's what I would not accept: not making it out of the group. Now that could easily happen. You only play 3 games. Afghanistan, they'll be good. In Pakistan, I presume. England. Their white ball seems a little bit further away. So it's a lot further away than what they were a little while ago. And then South Africa are awesome. They're heaps of good players. So they could lose every game. But if they don't make it out of the group, I think Australia. I think we'd care.
Who have you got skippering here? Smith, Head, Inglis, Maxwell, Short, Zampa.
I'd like to see Travis Head do it, if I'm honest. But I wouldn't be surprised if Smith does it. But if Smith is going to carry us through to a final, which I won't watch.
Smith was saying overnight, I asked him about captaining the Champions Trophy, and he started talking about throwing a ball the other day, and his elbow started hurting again. So I don't know if he's about...
It's a big tournament.
Well, I think we learned also that Cummins can act.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I thought his acting was pretty good.
Oh, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Which is fucked.
Yeah.
Is there anything this coat can't do?
Yeah, it is a bit fucked, yeah.
Yeah. Genuinely can act.
He's next Bond. What about McGrath and Sachin in that ad?
Yeah, that was good. It's been nice to be sent that by roughly 187,000 people.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Just so if you haven't seen it, Sachin and Pidge are on a flight.
Big old jumbo jet.
Sachin looks irritated. He's watching a replay of McGrath dismissing him LBW when he ducked into one in Adelaide, and our umpires are always the fairest umpires.
Yeah.
And I think the suggestion was you need to get your eyes checked, McGrath, and McGrath's like, nah. And then a woman comes up, an Indian woman comes up and says you're in the wrong seat. McGrath denies that, and then he's wrong because his eyes are wrong. And then they get, so Sachin won, Pidge nil, and it's Shangri-La times in online.
India best.
India's the best.
Kangaroo's worst.
Yeah, that's right. Stupid kangaroo.
Yeah.
So what did I think about that? Great. Yeah. Good on Pidge.
Yeah.
Get amongst it. Drink at the trough, brother.
The Sheffield Shield is back.
England's not boycotting the Afghanistan game, by the way. Nor is Australia. Just as a by the by.
The Sheffield Shield. Well, one game's already done at the Wacker. A 2-day Shield game, Pezza.
Nice.
Western Australia bowled out for 120 and 66 against South Australia's 124 and 4 for 66. Nathan McAndrew took 7 for 11 when he bowled out Western Australia for 66. So a bit of a flatty over there at the Wacker. Victoria have taken first innings points against Tassie. Harry Dixon, 66, batting at 6 on debut. We saw him play for the Renegades. Got a nice shape to him as well, left-hander. And Jack Clayton scored 134 for Queensland in there, 387 at the Gabba. And then Jack Edwards has scored at 100, batting at 7 for New South Wales in reply after being 5 for 39 at the Gabba. Xavier Butler has 3. And I mentioned Xavier Butler having 3 wickets there because talk about the future of seamers in Australia.
Yeah,
I mean, he's sort of come...
Talk about shapes.
Yeah,
as well.
he's come from nowhere, Xavier Butler, through the white ball program.
Big as well.
Yeah. So I like that.
I big raps on Xavier Butler.
Yep.
Yeah. Just Australians always have a weakness for someone who bowls full and fast with outswing.
It can swing out,
Yeah.
yes.
Just the ball moves in the correct manner. Mm-hmm. It has the correct shape to it and the correct length.
I know Andy Bickle was more of a hit the deck bowler, but when he pitched it up and it swung, especially the white ball when he got a game, a blonde Queenslander bowling outswing at pace that was good around the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does that mean, mate? Oh, sorry, no, my tummy's gargling.
Hungry.
That's a bit queer. So before we get into AskTGC, Pezza, brought to you by Smith Optics Australia, one of the great partners, one of the great collaborations of all time, of any brand, any company, any podcast, any show, any media. Just talk about what's next, as this is our final podcast for the summer that's been, summer 24-25. Although, of course, it never ends. Talk about what's next and a couple of thank yous. So, I guess the podcast will return when it does. We'll be doing the IPL. We'll be doing the World Test Championship. There's India and England Test Series, which is going to be awesome. We'll be covering that at the same time we're doing West Indies and Australia, which is happening at the same time. I'm 90% sure. And then, of course, the Ashes next summer. So don't worry, the cricket show's not going anywhere. It actually did fold when Channel 9 lost the rights. The cricket show that doesn't exist anymore. But this show we do here, which is called The Grade Cricketer, we will be doing that, of course, forever until people stop listening.
We won't be flooding the main podcast feed with IPL dailies.
We will not.
That's a YouTube.
That's a YouTube
situation.
Yeah, and of course, AskTGC Fridays every single. You guessed
that doesn't stop.
Friday. You can get it on Apple. You can get it on Spotify. You can get it on... how you do that is you go to TGC Patreon on Spotify. You can find it there. But you can also just sign up at patreon.com/Grade Cricketer. The chat has been flying for the last few months. I think everyone needs to take a break from that, if I'm honest. But, AskTGC Friday is the show you get every week. If you sign up for $5 or $10 a month, you can find us there throughout every single week of your life if you want to.
The people who support us on Patreon, in particular, Apple Frictionless Experience, shout out to you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well done.
But they're the lifeblood of the Grade Cricketer, really, of this entire thing. So it is the most material way you can support our work, and we do not stop doing that show wherever it is. In fact, it really starts to kick off during the English summer because there's just a lot of stories coming out of the biggest wheelie bin leagues globally, and it's well owned. It's well owned by our English fans. So
and the county championship.
Very much looking forward to that. But we're potting all the way through. But yeah, the main pot is going to take a break until what? Probably World Test Championship. I don't think we'll be back until then on the main feed. And is that about right? Have I got that right?
Yeah, I think so. We haven't had a business meeting about it, but we can do it now on air.
Yeah.
Oh, we usually do.
When
Charlie usually publishes them.
Yeah, that's right. Charlie. Yeah, that's right. That was a warning shot from Charlie last night. Fuck me.
Just talk about the circus.
Yeah. So if you missed it last week via our socials, you wouldn't have the music there, would you, Charlie, to queue up? I mean, we didn't give you any kind of warning on this.
Yeah, but you should have guessed.
You should have guessed. You're actually trying to DJ it up now. It's not in the mixer.
He's watching the Super Bowl. He's
watching
Kendrick right now.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. We are venturing into lanes that many people will believe we should not venture into.
Oh, yeah.
We will be asked...
Shark jumping stuff.
To stay in the lane. But we were very pleased last week to tease the announcement of a brand new show that Higgins and I are launching on February 26th, and we're calling it The Circus. The Circus is essentially prestige narration from the hotbed of Australian winter sport. Every single sport that isn't cricket. And the reason we're doing it is because in this office, in this studio where we, work every day, and there's a few of us in here, we're chatting about winter sport a lot. Both footy codes, all sorts of other sports. Charlie in particular into his A League and his W League.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie. And we realised that you say like the funniest thing that happens in cricket every summer probably happens on an equivalent basis about 4 times a week during Australian winter.
Yeah. And
that's the kind of show we want to bring. So we're not going to be doing this show called The Circus, which is once a week for an hour or so, covering, Hawthorn's run out of half-back. It's gonna drop on Wednesdays when basically, the drama and controversy hits peak levels every single week in Australian sport. That's really the vibe of the show. We're bringing, and based on how much fun we had doing the Olympics last year, morning after Paris, in particular the segment Boys Actually.
Yes.
We're reprising, we're reviving Boys Actually because we're expecting many, many people to instruct us on what happens in other sports.
Yes.
We're going to be owning that. But ultimately, we're very excited to be talking about the hotbed of Australian winter sport in the most serious way possible.
And there's a bit of great news. If you don't want to listen to it, you don't have to.
Yeah.
So that's fucking awesome.
And got to say, also, if you're worried about the I guess perversion of your grade cricketer feed, this is a new feed.
Yeah.
This is the TGC boys, Pez and Higgos, building a pod from the ground up.
Higgos and Pez.
Yeah, well, it's not really. I think the syllables don't really work that way, and that's not what's on the judgment. But so we're starting from the bottom.
Yeah.
With this, and but it's called The Circus. It's kicking off February 26. It's kicking off the week before the NRL goes to Vegas. It's kicking off a week and a half before opening round of the Aussie rules. So anything you want to tell? I mean, I don't think enough people talk about park football either.
Yeah.
I don't think people talk about. I made a mistake the other day already. The experience of park football. I mean, the other day I thought that I read that there was a salary cap of $300,000 for a club.
Yep.
I thought that was incredible. And then someone wrote in and goes, no, that was for one player.
Right, that's one player.
$300,000 on a player. I mean, can we start talking about these things?
Yeah.
That's the sort of vibe we'd like to bring. I mean,
it's a town square. It's a messaging board for these sort of conversations.
The Super Bowl is on right now. David King just asked who's the AFL's version of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Yep, good.
These are questions that need to be answered.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Gus Gould wants to know how Google Maps works.
Yep.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Can you put the Luka trade in AFL terms?
Yeah. Steven Silvani or Michael Jordan. There's a lot of stuff.
Who's the GOAT?
That's right.
Who's the GOAT?
And we're going to be doing it with, obviously, punters through boysactually@gmail.com. You can start writing it now if you want.
Yep.
We're going to have comics on. We're going to have players. We're going to have journos.
Yep. What kind of grass are they using for the AFL this year? You know? Grasses around stadiums.
That's right.
And by that I mean people who talk to the police behind criminals' backs.
We'll what will the AFL do when the NFL plays its regular season game at the MCG? Isn't that meant to be the week before finals when they're getting the grass right?
How come they're not playing the NFL in Sydney, the harbour city?
That's right. I just saw some quotes from Paul Kent. Just saying, and so a lot of people here in Aussie rules land and rugby league land, they don't look at each other. There are synergies. There's some differences.
When we spoke about this on Patreon the other day, some people were really, really annoyed that there was going to be AFL chat or rugby league chat.
Oh yeah,
people were really annoyed. Yeah. And once again,
there's a button.
Suck a fuck a ding dong.
Yeah.
That was the first show. All right, AskTGC. Hey, AskTGC. We should thank some more people. We should thank.
Always a few people to thank. Firstly, our patrons, people who back us, the entire audience all summer.
The pig pen.
People who've got behind us. ABC got us on board. Channel 7 got us on board. We did some cool stuff.
That was great fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
we had a good time.
All of the people who came to our live shows. All of our, most of them. Yeah. A couple of them.
3.
All of our live show guests as well. Hey, big shout out to our team here, Charlie, who gets his show on every single time.
Yeah.
Mainly
and some bonus content.
He gets some bonus content on as well. If we've really pissed him off, passive aggression's a hell of a drug.
I have to work on Sundays. Shut up. How'd you get out of your cage?
He's still watching Kendrick.
Yeah.
Dylan, who's in our team as well, who's helped with partnering, logistics, administration, dealing with us being fuckwits at all costs and all times.
Putting the draw up for the NFL on the whiteboard at work.
No, we've had fantastic help. Damon as well, with Damon Jackman, who's provided wonderful production help, who also can be seen on the front bar, getting into entering the reception at his wedding to the Carlton football song.
That's right.
Tune. So thank you to our team and Gus Cannon as well. Gus Cannon, who's put a lot of the music together. Shano's put music together. People who helped us on the road with the live show. Andy Kelly. It's been a huge summer for us. A lot of people have said, we've blown up. We've said, well, no, not really. 10 years hard work, overnight success, really. That's
success.
Yeah. Overnight something.
It takes a village.
Takes a village to
and
raise
that's
a
fucking
child.
village.
Just to anybody who helped TGC and got behind and got around TGC.
Well said.
Huge thanks.
Well said. AskTGC is brought to you by Smith Optics Australia. Talk about one of the great synergies, and people often do. It's smithopticsaustralia.com. You can use the code FAST for 25% off, plus you get a free TGC cloth gift. I've actually got one on the table here. You show it to you right now. That's the little gift you get there to clean your glasses there, clean the old lens.
And could I just one more shout out while it's on my mind as well? We've been very proud to partner with Cricket et al. This summer as well.
Oh yeah,
it's been a big part of what we've done. It's the first time we've ever helped or been part of supporting a print operation. And Gideon and Pete, it's great to see them out there writing independently. I mean, Pete, I've made the comments I feel about Pete really clear before. Notwithstanding his terrorism, which was obvious, which was clear for all to see, and I'm glad it's been called out.
It's persistent.
Right, persistent.
He's been called out.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're very, very proud. It's again to be in partnership with them. If you want to support Pete and Gideon's leading cricket journalism and writing around the world. Sign up at cricketetal.com. I'm very pleased to say that in the last week, he goes, without having told you this, paid subscriptions to Cricket et al. Have increased exponentially. Don't know why, but anyway. So we're really proud to be in partnership with Cricket et al. But yes.
That's smithopticsaustralia.com.
smithopticsaustralia.com. They didn't realise that's not an independent venture anymore. They're sponsored by Smith.
Yeah, that's right. Now, this is the last call out for Smith for a little while. Or maybe not. I don't know. But you use the code FAST, 25% if you order. I'm wearing the ultralights right now. You might have seen these rocking about. Those are also the ultralights. Yeah. I had to bring
true to their name.
I had to bring them. In from home because I had so many just lying around the house. Now they're all in the studio. So if you want to break in and get some Smiths, if you don't want to pay,
join the queue.
Yeah, it's a couple of attempts. People are just dying to get inside where the sausage is made. We work at a sausage factory. It is blokes, to be fair, so that's not entirely untrue. Anyway, the ultralights, if you want to wear these are good for cricket. I think Travis Head's been wearing the ultralights, actually. He's been rolling out the offies before putting his finger in the old ice there because it's running so red hot.
The fingers got hot the other day as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
to put in ice.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, smithopticsaustralia.com. There's the ultralights. We've had the XCs. There's been the... help me out here, Charlie. What's the other ones? Defies. I've had them right around. So you can go to the field collection on smithoptics.com. What did you say?
He's loving the football reference. Memphis Defy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Charlie's like, I know football. I watch football.
Yeah.
How'd victory go on the weekend?
No good.
Okay.
No good.
That was a quick response.
Doesn't want to talk about that. Doesn't have a microphone either.
Football chat.
That helps.
Fuck, there's going to be some very grim tribalism around the circus. Are you talking about that sport? Are you talking about
well, it's already happened. They haven't done a show yet.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's good.
That's how it goes. Anyway, look, so many people have got behind Smith. As it's turned out, we didn't charge them anywhere near enough because the kind of return they've got, it's a fucking disgrace. Mate, how lopsided this is. It's fucked.
One of the great parts of this business is being told by everybody how badly you are, how bad you are at business. We're here.
I had to walk to work. No petrol in the car.
Yeah, that's right.
It took me 3 hours.
I wear potato sacks for shoes.
I had to put 2 Kleenex boxes on my feet the other day just to do the bins.
I walked in this morning, Charlie was sleeping here. How'd you get in?
Victory lost. Shut up. Get back in your cage.
Coming out. Yeah, so.
And we were doing all of that in Smith Optics.
Yeah. Hey, if you've got any business advice for us, come and tell
Yeah.
Come and tell us how bad we are at it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, the last AskTGC
Yeah.
of the summer.
Okay.
Kratz is stuck backwards, says, what now? We did a lot of that yesterday, yeah. A lot of emptiness.
Yeah.
Matt Crymore says, I'll be keeping them to myself. Yep.
Don't worry about J-Mac.
No. Bingers Pingers said, wait, what will it take for these wet English coats to admit Australia are a good cricket team? Now, he's worried about like not getting the recognition from Dad, you know? England are Dad, you know? And he wants a tip of the cap, a nod to say, from Dad to say, son, you're doing all right.
And it won't happen.
No, not going to happen.
Because the best Australia can do is have grudging acknowledgement that they're good at cricket, but it will always come with the rider that we are, ugly and conceited and uncivil. And largely correct. That's largely correct.
Kane Cutter's cordial. Lance Morris one day is where is.
I guess confirming that person would be watching the one days.
Interesting. Police are on their way. Mike Shanita says, where to next for the Maxibon Marvel?
You're not going to read 6 points of meth and a bong?
I mean, you can read it if you want to.
Oh, it's just a question. Who's the king of the spin this summer? Lion, Kuhnemann, or SEN? Anyway. Yeah. Pez's broken pad strap says, best methods of dealing with the horrendous English chat for the next 10 months. All right. Hey, let's lay this out, he goes, without giving too much away. Firstly, we're extremely excited. We're going to be covering England and India this summer.
Yes, we will.
We're going to be covering it. And just to be clear, like, we're covering the English summer.
Yep.
This summer. We're back big time. And, how do you at once say there's a rivalry there, but also really enjoy it? Like the times when we've gone to do live shows in the UK, for example, best sense of humour, like bar none of everywhere we've gone.
First Drop said, England live show this summer dates where is oink oink.
Well,
interesting.
That's yeah, okay.
We feel like we haven't given the love to the English audience for quite a while because, you know, you've played against Sri Lanka and the West Indies, which is your problem and not ours. But, you know, big summer, obviously ahead of the Ashes as well. It's a big 12 months for English cricket. It's big 12 months for Australian cricket as well, of course. But I suppose 6 months of that's already passed if you go into like those blocks. But yeah, ahead of the Ashes, and obviously it's going to be a huge series. India played really well last time they were in England. That was 2021, I think it might have been. I think India won at Lords from memory. I remember like Bumrah bowling at Anderson, and then they got chirpy one game. Then Siraj took some final wickets. There was a collapse at Lords one day. I think England won the series. No, that was the COVID series when it was 1-1 going to the last test. It was 1-1 going to the last test at Old Trafford, and then COVID happened, and everyone went home and played the IPL.
And they came back and they were Bazball, and India lost.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Following year.
Yeah, so it's a rich series. Anyway, we'll be covering that.
We'll be covering it.
When's that start? June.
Yep. Yeah, just at the end. I've also got a apparently in the Super Bowl right now. Roll the clip. Charlie says Mahomes' arms painted on.
Harness to a personality of limited, etc. What's Joe Wilson up to when the cricket ends in my time zone? Reckon I'd love to have a beer with him. Oh, well, get in line there.
Hey, umpires make mistakes, you know, some more than others.
Yeah.
And like,
but at least it's funny.
He probably is a great beer, and umpiring's hard, you know. It's just in the heat of the moment, if a penguin makes a mistake, penguin's got to cop it, you know. Simple as that.
It's funny,
especially when it's repeated.
Polio leg brace stuff says, how good a player is Cam Green after this summer? Great point.
Yep.
One of the best.
Van Basten
sort of gear.
Daniel Sturridge.
Akash Chopra King has Virat's off stump finished performing cartwheels at the Aaron Jaitley Stadium yet? Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Another win for everyone not Indian. He got bowled in the what's it called? What's that trophy called?
Ranji.
Fucking hell.
Right.
The joke would have worked if I was clever. All right. Peace in the Middle East. Am I going to read this? Had a dream I was sleeping with in a porter cabin in a rough neighbourhood. When I woke up, still in a dream, I noticed the top of one of my fingers had been cut off. No pain, but it was rather odd. Some would say queer. They hadn't stolen my wedding ring. They hadn't stolen my wedding ring. I immediately thought of Pat Cummins as the side of the perp had to have been a cricketer. I went to the local cricket oval and there was Pat with my middle finger and distal phalanx attached to where he had lost his. Coat isn't so innocent after all, I thought. What does this mean? I'm now scared to sleep with the window open. So Cummins has cut his finger off.
I think Pat Cummins already is and will go down as a great Australian. But if you think he's innocent, you've never been around cricket.
Yeah.
And that's a compliment to him. Anyone who ascends to the Australian cricket team has the capability of a wink and a nod, metaphorically speaking, in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's a wonderful person, and I think what he's done, how they've transcended the coterie of Australian cricket, generally speaking, is one of the great achievements in the history of Australian cricket, and it's hardly remarked upon now. All of that said, if you don't think he's alpha as fuck,
yeah,
particularly behind closed doors, you know, you have come down in the last shower.
That's just something to think about. Well, Pezza, what a great summer it's been. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Well
Fucking
done.
hell, that is a compliment.
Is it?
And to you too.
So much, of course, it doesn't really feel like it's the end because
It's not.
You know, it's not, and we'll be recording later this week. In fact, later today, probably for some other stuff.
Yeah, got some other stuff.
All right. Well, you know, thanks to everyone that's made it throughout this summer. For what this summer has been, Pez already said it. Thanked everyone, so I won't be echoing those sentiments. Other than that, Pete Lawler's a terrorist. and rabid. He's rabid.
His beliefs of and it's self-evident.
It's when you meet Pete.
It always has been.
First thing I thought.
Yeah, but we did decide in the end to permit him the chance to continue at Cricket Hotel, where he's one of the great journalists.
Whenever you guys decide to join us next, we'll be here in some form, trying to make you laugh in some way. So until then, see you when we see you. Cheers.